Okay. Okay, we're live. Hello and
Right.
welcome to the Enlightenment Exchange, divine conversations with crazy people. No,
Where
Who are you
did
calling crazy?
I mean pot, kettle.
I mean, yeah,
I no, I'm there with you.
I'm 100% crazy.
You know, guilty as charged.
Right? Like,
Mhm.
why not?
Divine conversations with crazy people.
Part of
You
my
know,
charm.
I'm kind of liking that.
Mine too. I rather enjoy crazy people. If you want to know the
Mhm.
truth,
Yeah.
You know what was that on Designing Women? We don't hide our crazy people. We put them out on the front porch and show them off.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, I really like this topic for this week because it's come across my desk or come into my awareness a few times already this week, and I thought, oh, this is probably another good time to revisit it. Now, what's interesting is we'll get to really why I thought of it later, but we're going to start. I want to know about this. As I was thinking about the show, and I was thinking, giving, receiving, what are kind of the cliches or the things. This one, I mean, we're taught this forever. It is better to give than receive.
It's a Bible verse.
Well, I
There you
wouldn't
go.
know. But,
No, but that's why it's in the popular
Right.
culture. It's
Right.
just something that it's part of our culture and history.
Right. Okay. Well, and yet another reason for me to have a problem. Oh no, I didn't say that, did I? No. Okay, I will
Church
get
of
to
Andy.
why. But
Mhm.
what do you think about? I mean, is it really truly better to give than receive? And in addition to that question, is there a difference between receiving and taking?
Oh,
Yes.
so the second one, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Huge.
Right.
So
Yeah.
is it better to give than take? And perhaps giving and receiving should be an equal.
I think the whole
An
even
equal
energy
flow.
exchange conversation comes in here,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I think we're taught to put ourselves last. Do you remember the JOI
Mhm.
Melanie in church?
Mhm.
Jesus, others, yourself. Who's last?
Mhm.
You are.
Yep.
Everyone else.
Oh
comes
no, I don't
before.
remember that.
So that
All
was
I remember was if we gave more money than the boys, if our money was heavier, we had a chance to win a bike and we would get candy that day. So I said, please give me my dollar in pennies. That's what I remember. So Jesus, others, yourself, is that?
right.
And
Yeah,
that's meant to be
the order in which you serve.
And the order in which you act, like you every action is like for Jesus first, and then for others, and then for you. But also, I was kind of raised never you.
Right.
Like,
You might
you know
get
what I
some
mean?
leftovers if.
Yeah. You, but don't do it for too long, and don't blow your head up, and don't think you're all that, because you're really not. You're a sinner. You're going to hell. You were born a sinner. You're evil. Blah blah blah.
You know, the
Yeah.
word self-care, when I first heard it, it was probably high school or maybe even college. The word self-care. I mean, that idea had never even been presented to me until I was well into my, teens and late 20s or early 20s. And even at the time, it felt kind of, I'm like, I don't want to say wrong, but it just felt weird, right? Self-care? Why would I
Mhm.
want to do that? I should be caring for other people.
Isn't that something?
That's how
It
I
is
was
something.
raised.
Yep. Now it's kind of
Isn't
like
that-
part of our, well, the woo-woo world and beyond, but it's really taken a hold in society. I think it took us quite a while to get there.
Mhm.
Well, and whether or not we're actually there still really remains to be seen, right?
True. Good point.
But so does this whole conversation have an impact on a person's ability to receive?
Mhm.
Right?
Okay.
You're
Yep.
taught it's better to give. You should give. I mean, give
Mhm.
until it hurts. Give until it hurts.
Yeah, I remember that phrase too. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to give
That was
10%.
actually said in seriousness. That was said in
Receiving is
seriousness.
selfish. Strong people don't need help.
Yeah.
The joy is in the giving, which there is joy in giving. So that I think that's a separate conversation.
Yep.
But you should always be independent. Don't take charity. Like those are things I think that in society, it's interesting. The idea of what we're all taught has really been presenting itself a lot to me. And this is another conversation I want to have after next week when we have What Color Is Your Brain? I saw David Duchovny on a talk show, and he's got a podcast now called Fail Better.
Really?
And what he means by that is that we learn more from our failures than from our successes, and we should be embracing failure rather than ostracizing people for failing. So I think that if we were to look hard enough, we could find probably 5 or 6 topics of conversation on these type of things that we could kind of take apart and maybe help people really learn from, like, that was an epic fail, wasn't it? Amazing, right? Because what did I learn from it? Or
I think the idea of normalizing failure or even normalizing mistakes is really an interesting, important one. I saw a quick video on Facebook, I think, and it was a celebrity who misheard something. I can't remember the details. Misheard something and responded incorrectly, inappropriately, almost to the question. And then she goes like, "Oh my goodness, that was totally me. I apologize. My fault," and really owned the mistake. And then just went on and carried on right into the interview. I'm like, I like that. I like it when people can own, like, yes, I made a mistake, and I own that, and then pick up and go from there.
And other people appreciate that. They're like, oh, they're like me.
Yeah, there's some honesty there.
Yeah, I don't like to use the word failure. I like, okay, that's a learning opportunity for me. Something didn't go the way that I expected it to go. So like if it's in my business and I do a marketing or something, whatever, I launch something and nobody buys anything. Is that a failure, or did I learn something? Did I learn, oh, maybe I need to tweak my message. Maybe I need to do XYZ. It's not necessarily a failure if I learn something.
Edison's little quip about the light bulb. He says, "We learned 5,000 ways to do it wrong."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it is. So circling back now to receiving, is this, because one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the idea of actually how to receive negative comments or criticism, right? So if we're talking about a failure, people come to us with criticism, or they, and let's face it, we beat ourselves up probably better than anyone else does.
Yeah.
But in this social media world where we can make a post and somebody can make a comment, wouldn't it be nice if we could just look at it and choose not to receive it? Why are we taught to receive the negative, the criticism, and we're not taught to receive the positive and say the negative may be interesting information, but not necessary or required? So, I mean, I watch some of these celebrities when they talk and they say they don't even like to look at their social media because people are so cruel and so, have so much to say. And can you just choose not to receive it?
I do.
I do. I do too. But
I don't care what anybody says about me.
No, I know that, but I don't know that everybody is that way.
No,
right?
most people are like very quick to respond and fight back. I think that's one of the biggest learning lessons I had in my whole life, is to realize, oh, I can just let that go.
Yeah, you don't have to engage.
Let it roll on. Yeah, don't engage. And whatever feelings it may have hit you at the moment, we'll let it go.
Right. So, well, and I just to drill into it a little further, very often these things are personal
attacks.
right? They're personal attacks. They're personal. And because we are not really given a strong sense of self for whatever reason, be it religious upbringing or whatever it might be, you know, environmental, because we don't have that strong sense of self, I think that when the attacks are personal, we might tend to take them to heart, and we don't realize that we can simply choose not to receive it.
Yeah, when someone says something nasty about me, well, cool, that's not how I see me. So I don't choose to like integrate that, you know.
Right.
It's a nice opinion you have there.
And
you know what they say about opinions.
Yeah, right. I'll tell you that for the most part, I just choose not to read them. So
right, exactly.
But I'm different. I cut them loose.
Right.
So
I have a thought about the whole giving and receiving. I have a lot of those videos show up in my feed of people, you know, they go into a burger place or whatever. Hey, give me 200 hamburgers. I'm feeding the homeless. And they're like, oh my God, that's so great. You're giving and blah, 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 blah. And they get the hamburgers and then they go and they give them out. And a lot of times, I mean, they're homeless and you can tell that they're starving and they're really down. Oh, I can't take that. And it's like, why? Like, clearly you need it. And I think it's good to receive because you're doing something good for the person who's giving too. Like if you can't see your value in the receiving of something, to get yourself used to it, do it for the other person until you get comfortable with receiving. Do it for, hey, you're helping that person, you're blessing that person. And then once you get used to, oh, I'm not going to get spanked or whatever for receiving or whatever bad thing that we have that we think is going to happen when we receive. Oh, it actually is good to receive and give. And it's it's a circle. You have to receive to give.
Right. It's completely a circle.
Yep. Even energy exchange.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And so this was another one that I saw. Why do we struggle with receiving compliments, blessings, and gifts? And I think compliments is a big one for a lot of people. Right. You know,
we're self-deprecating and push those comments. Oh, no, it was nothing. Or like, oh, you're being too kind. Instead of thank you.
I learned it right with my purple hair, but if you could believe it, it was my purple hair that really taught me to receive.
I do remember that.
And it simply was this. People would say, oh my gosh, I love your hair. And I would say, well, I don't know. I think maybe it's too dark, or I don't know, but it's expensive to do, or I don't know if it suits me, or maybe it's too young for me, or, you know, whatever those comments. And then finally, I just kept hearing in the back of my head, like, say thank you.
Yeah.
Just say thank you. And so after a while of just simply saying thank you, I noticed that when you just say thank you to the other person lights up.
Yeah.
They don't light up at giving you the compliment necessarily. But when you say thank you to them for that compliment or for that holding that door or whatever it might be, you can literally see them light up.
There's your
and you
energy
can
exchange.
shift, right? You can shift the energy by simply, you know, and that's about me receiving. But then that's so about me giving thanks. And then and that just entirely describes your circle there, right? And then they receive that gratitude,
right?
And that gratitude lights them up. So it is a big circle, and I just wish that people would really learn to understand that their worth is inherent. And if you understand that your worth is inherent, then I think that receiving is much easier. Right?
That's
because
when it became easier for me. Right. That's when it became easier for me. And same with the purple hair. Oh my God, I love your hair. And I would go to like the checkout at, you know, grocery shopping or whatever. And you can tell they're just like, oh, you know, because it's a cashier job. I used to do that. I know how horrible it is. Oh my God, I love your hair. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Oh, and your jacket and your whole fit is just, you're gorgeous. Oh, and your boots and blah, blah, blah. Da, da, da. I'm like, oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And sometimes if I'm feeling fresh, I'll do a twirl. And And they're like, oh my God, you're just so amazing, and blah, blah, blah. And then we start talking. And yeah, there's that energetic exchange. And I
Mm.
leave and they're like, oh my God, okay, I'll see you later. And I hope to see you again. And blah, blah, blah. And they're happier. And at least for hopefully the next few customers, they're feeling a little bit better, until they get a
Mhm.
jerk. But yeah,
Well,
that
and I mean,
energetic
and that's
exchange.
Mhm.
that's
I
a
like
really
that a
good
lot.
point, right? Like, you don't know, what you give or what you receive.
Mhm.
You don't know how it ripples.
Right.
But that
Exactly.
person receives that gratitude and takes it to heart, and then actually spreads that good energy to the next
Exactly.
person or
Right.
the next, or, I mean, and hopefully by them radiating that, it elicits the next response of gratitude,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Pay it forward.
Mhm.
Right. And without even necessarily realizing it. I noticed one thing in how powerful we can be is if you walk into somewhere, and I think, John, you've heard me say this, if you walk in somewhere loaded for bear, you're going to find a bear,
Mhm.
right? You
Yep.
walk
Mhm.
to some kind of situation where you're going to buy a new mattress or whatever it might be, and you're loaded for, customer
Mhm.
service issues, you're going to find them.
You're gonna find them. Yep.
But if you go in expecting to find what you're looking for and to be grateful you found it and thankful for the help, you're going to find that too. So how much of giving and receiving do we just simply make for ourselves?
To answer the question, I think our struggle with receiving gifts or blessings or compliments is a direct reflection of how we feel about ourselves, right? So if we feel great about ourselves and I am worthy, I am the divine, I am a divine creature
Mhm.
and I deserve all of these things. That's not a haughty, proud thing to say. It's fact. We are all, I'm not saying I'm any better than anybody else by
Right.
saying that.
Right.
I'm saying we are all divine creatures and we all deserve all of the abundance and happiness. And if I feel that way, I don't struggle with receiving anything
Mhm.
because I deserve it. Thanks.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know?
reading a book by Stuart Wilde called The Little Money Bible. I mentioned it probably a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago too.
Mhm.
And one of the things he says in there is, if anyone tries to give you something, accept it. If anyone,
Yes.
he says, even if it's an ugly lamp, you can always
Yeah.
regift it. But he says, if
Yeah.
they are giving you something, you want to receive it because
Yes.
that is part of the energy exchange. Free lunch,
Right.
take it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's abundance. I think
Mhm.
people
It
are
is.
like, I want lots of abundance. And they close their minds to the abundance being millions of dollars and that's it. Abundance is also somebody gifting you with a lamp or gifting you with, free lunch or
Mhm.
whatever. That's abundance too. And
Yep.
be grateful for that and see that as abundance.
Can we segue real quick into knowing your worth and charging your worth? Because that's where I stumbled. I believe I'm worthy. I believe I'm a divine being. But when it comes to time to charge, the customer, sometimes it's like, well, I know they struggle a little bit, so I think I'll just knock my price down, unilaterally.
Absolutely.
Right. I do that. And
So,
going back and saying, no, this is the value of my time. This is
Yep.
what I'm worth. And that's how much it is.
Yeah.
well, and what's interesting about that, so I think, John, you've probably heard the story before, but when I had my tax office, I had a Liberty tax office. Not a single tax preparer wanted me to finish their return. Because a lot of times people would come in and then they would be missing something. So they would come in, a couple days later or whatever to finish up and sign and pay. And I would get to the end and I would see the price and I would be like, oh my God, I can't charge this much. And then I would give a discount. And then the tax preparer would be like, why did you do that? Last year they paid that much. They didn't have a problem with it.
Right.
They were probably
Yeah.
expecting to pay a little bit more. Why would you do that? And it took me a long time to understand that that had everything to do with my feelings of my worth,
Yep.
my self-worth. So I took a step back and I would just like basically hold my breath and push the button and say, it'll be $275. Will that be cash or check? You know, like, and I would, and then the funny thing is the people would say, oh, that's great. Thank you very much.
Right. Here you go.
Here you go. And yet, I don't know how many times that happened. I would still have a problem with it, you know, the next time. So it's really not about the money.
No, it's about receiving your own self-worth. We got a nice comment on the chat from Coventina. Let me read it. One night at a restaurant surrounded by several women, one of them pointed at me and blurted out, "She's an awesome healer." And I responded, "I'm just a channeler of the energy." I wonder if you could follow that up with, and I'm happy to work with you, so that you've got that energy like accepting going.
So I'm gonna put, this is another one. So this is in the same vein of taking money.
Yeah, there's a key word
there is a key word in there. There's one big key word in there. Healer. People are reluctant to be called a healer. I remember that conversation in my head in the beginning when I first started doing energy work. And people saying, oh, you don't want to call yourself a healer. Why not?
Yeah, why? I don't get
why
that.
Not?
I've never understood that.
Like, maybe only God can heal.
We are God.
I know.
No, we're part of the divine. I mean, we're not the creator of all that is, but we are part of the divine.
Right. But that, I mean, I understand the reluctance, because if somebody calls you a healer and somebody comes to you thinking they're going to get whatever thing they have healed and it doesn't happen, then you know, so I get that.
Too much or something.
But in this case, when it is a comment, I think the appropriate, and I'm not going to say appropriate, I think just thank you is a perfect response to this. Now, on the other hand, if somebody comes in and asks you for a session and says, oh, you're a healer, I'm expecting to be healed. Now it's important to say, this is how much you're going to pay me, and this is what you can expect as results, or however you word that, you know what I mean? Like, we all have those disclaimers. So that's kind of a double-edged sword as well. But if you are saying that because you don't want to own, I don't know how to say. I'm going to get myself into trouble if I keep talking. So somebody please take over.
All right. One other comment from Coventina. She says, I used to exchange energy work with for a dinner, and my mentor said that I can't get an oil change and give them a steak instead. And the follow-up would be, you know, you need to charge money for your services. You know, everyone does a little bit of barter here and there, but I agree. You know,
okay. So let's back up. What was that word you said? It started with a B. Never ever say that again.
But?
Yeah, we don't do that.
We do not barter. Do that. Oh, yeah, the barter
we don't do that.
No.
That is a taxable exchange.
Yes, it is. Here. Yes, I'm sorry.
So we don't use that word.
Right. Trade for services.
Exchange. But sorry, I can't shut the tax.
Right. The tax lady came out.
Yeah,
right?
The tax guy don't shut his mouth. So, you know, it's interesting. People ask me for energy exchanges all the time, and I can't do every one.
I refuse.
People ask me for. I don't refuse, but I can't do all the ones that people ask me for, and it's not got anything to do with. At first, I used to say I'm really picky about who I will exchange energy with, but the truth of the matter is, if I only ever exchange energy with everybody that asked me, nobody would ever pay me. Right. And so, John, I think that, you know, without throwing you under the bus.
Oh, it's okay.
Because you and I have had the conversation where you can really see where some of that was of your own making. You know?
Right.
Some of that was of your own making. And if you surround yourself with people that only with people that never want to pay, that's all you're really going to attract. So you really have to figure out a way you have to figure out a way to make peace with that. Now, I will say that from time to time, I would offer a discount to somebody who really maybe didn't have as much money as I charge. And I called it community service. And I would say, I allow myself X community service each month, whatever that might be. And then, that would be the end of it. Like a scholarship or whatever you might want to call it.
Yeah, I do that. And I shouldn't say I never do energy exchanges. It's just I immediately like, no, you got to convince me, because I don't want to do them. I don't want to do them. And I offer free readings or services or whatever monthly like that. That's how I'm, my community service. I had a thought, but then it just escaped. What was it?
It probably got pushed away with the fly. 17-year-old dogs have to go outside, so there's a patio door open right here.
Aww.
And when they tell you they got to go out, they got to go out.
Yeah,
I mean,
they got to go. Yeah.
However, that means that the little flying critters can fly in and out.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I've even charged for discovery calls and networking calls, because I realized I was going into these networking calls and they're like, hey, let's meet up again. And like, I really want to hear about your thing and da 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 da. And they would kill half an hour of my time, and my day would be booked back to back with all this, and I'm taken away from my business, my kids, and all of that for free, and nothing came out of it.
That's the problem right there.
Yep. So now I charge for discovery calls. If you want to work with me, I'm charging you for it. If you decide to use my services, then I'll take that fee off of whatever I charge you. And then then I charge like $25 for like a networking thing. If you liked me in a networking thing and you want to see if we can work together, then I charge you the $25. And if we come up with something together, then I'll refund you. But I had too many no-shows. I had too many people just pitching me their life insurance or whatever. And I'm just I know. So it kind of gets rid of the tire kickers too. And it just, if you put out there so much free stuff, you're going to get people who want free.
This is true. So let's circle this back to our ability to receive, and what kind of an impact does that have on our ability to charge and our overall well-being. And I think part of that issue is I don't deserve to receive the money for what I do, or I'm not good enough yet at what I do. I was in one of the masterminds that I'm in, and last night, and this is really interesting. The person who was on screen said she wasn't really clear on what she wanted to do, what she didn't want to do, what she wanted to do, what she didn't want to do, how to package everything together. And she didn't feel confident in what she did. And so the moderator, somebody we all know, put the question, it's okay to be, to do whatever you do and be 75% sure about it, or 50% sure about it, and put it out there. And he said, and I would bet that if I asked everybody in this group, and he put up the Zoom screen for himself, how many people actually are 100% confident in what they do, it will not be a very high number. And sure enough, something people, no, I didn't say that.
I would have.
I didn't. I said 75%.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The percentage. Oh, I see.
How many people are 100% confident about what they do? Me personally,
yeah, I would say I am.
I think if you say you're 100% confident in what you do, that you probably don't have everything all together.
Does it mean that I don't make mistakes? No, I do make mistakes because I'm human.
Right.
But I am confident that I know what I'm doing. And I'm
Well,
confident that I can find a solution. And I'm confident in my intelligence and
but
my,
I don't think
Do you
that's
know what I mean?
being 100% confident in what you do.
how?
But that, I just don't think so. I think that is knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know. And so always having that little piece that tells you, I don't have this all the way, and maybe there's time I need help. I think
Or I
that's
don't know
important.
everything.
Right.
Well, yeah. So is that the definition of confident, that you know everything? I don't think it is. I think the definition of confident is you're confident.
I said it was the
in
definition
your,
of 100%. I didn't say, I said it was the definition of 100%. And I'm here to tell you that I've come across some 100% confident tax preparers in my life. And if you run across them, you should run for their friggin'
Well, yeah. I just
So-
had a thought, call it a download or whatever. Maybe what's affecting our ability to receive is the divine feminine being wounded and needing healing. Because the divine feminine is the energy that receives, right? And the divine masculine is the one
I
that
have
gives.
no idea.
Yeah.
I don't participate in that dynamic.
I think
I'm
the
with you on
divine
that.
feminine
There's
is the
the
one that
yin and the
receives.
yang. The yin is
Right,
is
right.
is the kind of the giving, and the yang is the receiving.
Right,
That's very much
right.
part of the Taoist.
Exactly. So I think the divine feminine is pretty wounded in most of us as a society, just because that's just the way it's been, right? It's the patriarchal like system and things like that. So I'm wondering if we heal that within us, that receiving would be easier. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as people learn to receive better, I think
Mhm.
that is a healing of society in general, right? That's one of the, I think that's
Right.
one of the big wounds we all have, for various reasons, right? Sometimes it's religion, sometimes it's
It's environmental.
Yep.
A lot of it is
Mhm.
religious
Mhm.
and environmental. Absolutely.
And I think
That's what we're
that's one of
taught.
the major wounds.
Yeah.
So to your question on the screen here, does our ability to receive reflect our relationships and overall well-being? Absolutely.
Mhm.
I think so. One of my previous clients was a kind of a dating coach or a dating therapist, and one of her again and again, all saying over and over again that people in a relationship who are not able to give and receive affection, that's damaging to the relationship, and ultimately is one of the reasons it breaks up.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
You know, you've got the
Yeah,
one that
right.
gives
I
and gives
mean,
and gives and gives, and the narcissist that
Yeah.
takes and takes and takes. And you've
Yeah.
got codependent there.
Yep.
And if you can get
Makes
to the
sense.
point where the balance is equal between giving
Mhm.
and receiving, then you have some hope of a relationship that will last.
And I finished that Ken Honda book. Is that the name?
And Honda, yeah,
Is that his name? Yeah.
happy
Yeah. Happy Money.
money.
happy
Yes.
money.
And he said abundance is not just money. It's also like your community and, neighbors and friends and stuff who are willing to help you if you're, down, if you lose your job or whatever, and they want to help you. Of course, if you struggle with receiving, then of course that's going to affect your overall well-being. If you don't accept help or accept support from anybody, that's going to affect your overall well-being and your relationships. It's a strain on your relationships with your friends. If they're like, I see you struggling and I want to help you and you're not taking it, that person gets frustrated.
Fly. Sorry.
I have fruit flies. There's so many.
At least you can catch them with that light thing that you plug in the wall. Not house. Don't catch house flies.
Yeah,
anyway, that I mean, really, truly, so money focused, right? We're so money focused. And I think that in the idea of relationships, and they say, it's some really high percentage of relationships fail because of financial issues, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that you add another element to that, right? Because there's giving and receiving, but then there's, I don't know, whatever that third piece you would call it is like, this is mine. This is mine. So not sharing, right? And I think
Hoarding.
yeah, right. I see too many. I see too many. Like I don't understand. I don't understand why people can't come up with the concept of fairness and sharing. For example, if you and I go out to lunch and you pick up the check and say, I got this, do not expect me to fight for it. It's not going to happen. I'm
Me
gonna say,
either.
oh, thank you.
Yep. Same.
So don't get disappointed
Mm-hmm.
when I don't, fight for it. On the other hand, if I take the check, don't fight for it.
Mhm.
It means I want to take, I want to take the check. Like that just is what it is. Just don't. Just don't. And then it's like, okay, well, you get it next time. Or when you go out with, 3 other people and the idea is to split the check. Nowadays, you don't have to do that. But back in the day, you used to have to split the check and it'd be, well, I had this and oh, shut up.
Right.
I mean, if you ordered
nitpicking
soup
nickel
and
and
that guy
diming.
ordered lobster, that's maybe a different story. But if everybody had, like,
Basically the same thing.
so if we could maybe get back to the idea of equity and fairness and sharing and give up, oh yeah, right, this would be hard in this climate. Hooray for me, too bad for you. If we could get rid of that, then maybe giving and receiving would be a little bit easier. But
that brings a point. One of the things that came out of a number of courses, I think even Radley mentioned this in one of his, it's the ability to celebrate someone else's win.
Yeah, right.
And it's surprising how often you see people, grumbling about someone else's success. And if there's one thing I wish we could normalize, it is that we could celebrate other people's success with true joy.
Yeah, and I wonder about why people grumble so much about someone else's success.
I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I think that some of it is like a question of self-worth.
Yeah.
I think some of it is a question of self-worth and looking at that person and saying, wow, they're successful. I could never do that. I could never be them. But what's really interesting is if you talk to somebody like Radley or Dougal or Mooney, they want nothing more than to help elevate you to wherever it is that they are. They don't look at you. They don't look at your success when you're in their programs. They don't look at your success with anything but joy and pride and grace. And so that's,
that's true.
Right? Like
a rising tide lifts all boats. The more people that are successful, especially in the work that we do, the more people that are successful, the faster the vibe of the earth is going to be raised and the faster the healing is going to happen. And like, why would anybody be threatened by that? There's no way that one person can read everybody and can heal everybody. Like, it's not going to happen. I love to see other people succeed because it just means more good work is being done. I don't like seeing corporations and big bankers and horrible people succeed.
Yeah.
Well, sadly, I guess that comes along with it, right?
Yeah. When it's someone who's succeeding by, less than honest means.
Right. Yeah.
That's a different
topic.
That's a different topic.
And very often, and this is the only one I'm going to let myself have, very often that success is really nothing more than smoke and mirrors.
Yep,
Mhm,
exactly.
mhm, mhm.
Exactly. It's so true. So true.
No specifics there, Angie, are you?
No, no. But I mean, no, that's it. I'm through.
All right, done. Okay, next topic, please.
Next question.
Oh wow! Actually, we've actually hit just about the end. We're at our we're at our
Yeah.
40
wow.
minutes.
Wow.
So I wanted to make sure that we take a second to talk about next week when we have Sheila Glazoff coming on. What color is your brain? And it is another. I don't want to say just another because I find it really fascinating. It is another sort of way to sort out your personality type.
Mm-hmm.
But her whole premise is that something like the Myers-Briggs, which is a wonderful personality test, is a singular outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And she's saying that people are more nuanced than that. And that maybe you, when it comes to your personality, you have, and she's got, it's 4 colors. Maybe your personality is a blue, but when it comes to relationships, it might be orange. So that she's saying that we are, that it is possible that we have more than one facet to, to one another. So, what I'm going to do in the comments of this, slow down. What I'm going to do in the comments of this stream, I'll put a link to her website, and then I'm going to schedule the stream ahead with a link to her website. So anybody that's thinking to listen can go over and take that personality test. And then if you're here with us and you've taken the test and you have a color and you have a question for her, she would love to answer it for you. So I will be getting that set up in the next couple of days, and we'll get you the link. I don't know what happened to my head. Just one. But anyway, it's What Color is Your Brain? Sheila Glazoff, and she also wrote a children's book called Princess Shayna and I can't remember the whole thing. She'll talk about that then too, which is actually being made into a musical.
Cool.
And it will be presented at schools, all hopefully all over the country.
That's
so
great.
her, as a 3rd grade educator, her mission is to help kids understand who they are while they're still kids, so that maybe when they get to be adults, they can forego some of these crazy things that we all need to heal as grown-ups. I love this idea. So very excited to have her on next week. And in the meanwhile, I just hope all of you that are listening, and John and Melanie, receive this because I mean it. I am so grateful for all of you. And I'm so grateful to have this time with you. It's grown to mean quite a bit to me over the years. We've been here for over a year now, and it is something of the week that I look forward to the most.
Me too.
Except for breakfast on Friday with my friends. But I have 2 non-negotiables, and this is one of them. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much. And Coventina, thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
So often, and I'm glad you were able to find us. Most welcome. Anyway, so that's what I've got for today. Just receive all the love that I'd love to send to you. You guys have anything else you'd like to end with?
Just keep that energy exchange going. Give and receive. Give and receive.
And remember your worth.
There you go. Because it's inherent.
Yep.
You're born with it, right? All right. Well, thank you all so much. And if you have not yet, please reach down and hit that or wherever. Hit that subscribe button.
Go somewhere.
Someplace. Thank you so much.